My name is Laura, and I never imagined that I would go through something that would change my life forever. But here I am, writing this, because I feel I need to share what happened to me. I died. I passed over. And what I saw on the other side was something I could have never imagined. I met Jesus, and he showed me something that left me speechless. It wasn't just a vision, it was a revelation. I'm still trying to process all of it, but I know that something must be said. It was a normal day, or at least that's what I thought. I woke up early, made my coffee, and followed my morning routine as always. Nothing seemed out of place, but something was different, and I had no idea that in a few hours, my life would take an unexpected turn. I was driving to work, just as I did every day. The sky was cloudy and the air felt heavy, as if the world itself was trying to tell me something. But I didn't pay attention. My mind was full of worries, bills, work, problems that had been tormenting me lately. And then it happened. A sharp pain pierced through my chest. I had never felt anything like it before. It was an intense, crushing pressure. I tried to breathe, but the air wouldn't come in. My vision became blurry, and suddenly, everything around me seemed to slow down. The cars, the buildings, even the people on the sidewalk. Everything was in slow motion. I don't remember exactly the moment I lost control of the car, but I remember the sound of tires skidding, the impact, the eerie silence that followed. And then, suddenly, I was lying on the sidewalk, looking up at the sky. I could hear voices, distant sirens, people screaming. But nothing seemed real. While I was there, something strange happened. The pain began to fade, and an overwhelming sense of calm took over me. Fear, stress, worry, everything simply disappeared. It was at that moment that I realized I was dying. At first, I didn't understand what was happening. One moment, I was lying on the sidewalk, feeling my body grow weak. The next moment, I was floating. I saw everything. The paramedics rushing to help me, a woman crying beside my lifeless body. But I didn't feel fear, I didn't feel panic, just a strange detachment. I tried to speak, tried to get someone's attention, but no sound came out. It was as if I were there, yet at the same time, not. Then I felt something. It wasn't physical. It was spiritual. It was as if an invisible force were pulling me upward. I had no control over it, yet I didn't resist. For the first time in my life, I felt completely at peace. In the distance, a light appeared. At first, it was small. Then it grew, becoming brighter. But it wasn't just any light. It wasn't blinding. It wasn't cold. It was welcoming. It was as if it were calling me home. I moved toward it effortlessly, and as I advanced, the world to which I belonged disappeared. The noise of the city, the voices of the people, everything was gone. Only the light remained. Then, I heard a voice. It wasn't loud, but it was powerful. It resonated within my soul. "It's not your time yet." The voice was familiar, yet I couldn't place it. And then, everything changed. Suddenly, I was no longer there. I was somewhere else. It wasn't Earth, but it wasn't a completely unknown place either. It was as if it were a space between two worlds, and it was there that I saw him. The moment I set foot in that place, everything around me changed. I was no longer floating. I wasn't merely an observer. I was there, and it was real. The environment around me was bright, but in a way that didn't hurt the eyes. The air was thick and warm, yet it wasn't uncomfortable. It was the very definition of comfort, a presence so strong and intense that I could feel it enveloping me. Then in front of me, I saw a tunnel that stretched as far as the eye could see. It wasn't made of stone nor bricks. It was made of light, bright, pure, and it pulsed with life. Without hesitation, I took a step forward. That's when I noticed something astonishing. The tunnel wasn't empty. On both sides, figures watched in silence. They were luminous presences, made of energy. I couldn't see their faces, But I knew they were people. They were souls. People who had departed before me. Some looked familiar, as if I had known them from somewhere. Others were completely unknown. They did not speak, but somehow I could hear them. Not with my ears, but with my spirit. And they welcomed me. They comforted me. They made me feel safe. It was the most wonderful feeling I had ever experienced. I continued walking, and with each step, I felt lighter, as if all the burdens I had carried in my life were disappearing. Then I saw it. At the end of the tunnel, he was there, waiting for me, and there was no doubt. I knew who he was. Jesus. He wasn't just a presence, he was light. Not a light around him, but his. His presence was love, peace, and power, and I couldn't move, I couldn't speak. All I could do was feel, and what I felt was beyond words. He looked at me, and in that one look, my entire life flashed before me. Every choice, every mistake, every moment of pain, every act of kindness, everything was there, laid bare before him. But there was no judgment. There was only understanding. Then he spoke, and his voice was like thunder and a whisper at the same time. You are not here by chance. I wanted to ask why I was there, what was happening. But before I could say anything, he raised his hand. And then everything changed. Suddenly, I was no longer in the tunnel. I was somewhere else. And it was there that Jesus showed me a truth that would forever change the way I saw the world. Suddenly, everything around me changed. The tunnel disappeared, and I was transported to a vast open space. It wasn't earth nor heaven, but a place between the two. The air there vibrated with an energy I couldn't explain. Then, before my eyes, images began to form. They weren't mere visions. They were like living paintings made of pure light. The first image left me speechless. I saw an immense continent bathed in golden light. At first, I didn't understand what I was seeing, but soon I realized it was Africa. Not the Africa I knew from history books, but a different Africa. Grand, strong. I saw ancient civilizations, cities of stone and gold, filled with people full of wisdom and spiritual power. They weren't broken. They weren't enslaved. They were chosen. Jesus looked at me, and his voice resonated within my soul. The world lied about them. I was speechless. They are not what they were made to believe they were. They were blessed with gifts, knowledge, and a spiritual connection that many tried to erase. The vision changed, and suddenly, I saw chains. I saw ships. I saw multitudes being torn from their land, taken away from everything they knew. I saw suffering, pain, and centuries of oppression. But what shocked me even more was what lay beneath the surface. I saw spiritual forces working behind the scenes, manipulating everything. The oppression wasn't just physical, it was spiritual. There was something bigger at play, something that no one wanted us to know. Jesus turned to me and said, "The world tried to erase who they really were, because if they knew, everything would change." My heart pounded hard. This wasn't just history. It was a spiritual battle that had been waged for centuries. A profound deception, and most people had no idea. The vision changed again. I saw people in our days awakening, beginning to remember who they were. I saw men and women breaking the invisible chains that held them captive, reclaiming their strength and their faith. The same people who had been taught to see themselves as inferior were beginning to regain their identity. Jesus smiled. The time of revelation has come. They will rise again. I felt tears streaming down my face. I had never felt something so intense. The truth was coming to light. The visions continued, and with each moment, I saw more and more truths being revealed. I saw a time long before slavery, before colonization, before all oppression. I saw a world where Black people possessed powerful spiritual knowledge. They understood the connection between heaven and earth, between the spirit and the physical world. They were leaders, prophets, warriors, men and women who spoke directly with God. They didn't need intermediaries. They held divine wisdom. Jesus looked at me, and his eyes carried both sadness and love. That's why they were targeted, because those who rule this world fear those who carry true wisdom. My mind spun. Now everything made sense. For centuries, they tried to tear away their culture, their faith, their identity. It wasn't just about control. It was about breaking their connection with the truth. But then, I saw something incredible. Even after everything they went through, after generations of pain, after centuries of being told they were nothing, their spirit was never broken. Their power never left them. Jesus continued, and that is why they need to remember. It was at that moment I understood that this wasn't about division. It wasn't about hatred. It was about restoration. The world was built on lies, but the truth was about to be revealed. The vision changed again, and I saw something astonishing. A great awakening was happening. I saw people from all over the world, but especially Black people, remembering who they were. I saw their minds being freed from lies. I saw their souls reconnecting with the Creator. They were rising. And as that happened, something miraculous began to occur. The world itself began to change. Jesus turned to me once more. The prophecy is coming true. They will lead the world into a new era of spiritual awakening. I felt my body tremble. Now everything made sense. That is why I saw all of this. That is why I was taken there. I was meant to share this message. Jesus answered my thoughts with a simple, yes. The world needs to hear. I fell to my knees, overwhelmed by what I had witnessed. This wasn't just about race. It was about identity, about purpose, about destiny. Then everything began to disappear. The light faded, the visions vanished, even Jesus began to fade away. I felt a force pulling me back. I didn't want to go. I screamed, "No, I don't want to go back." Jesus smiled, but there was seriousness in his gaze. "You must go back. The world needs you to speak." I tried to resist, but it was no use. Suddenly, I felt a jolt. As if an electric current shot through my body, my eyes opened, and I was back. The sound of the heart monitor filled the room. Doctors and nurses rushed around me. My family was there, crying, holding my hand, thanking God that I was alive. But I was no longer the same person. For days, I remained silent. People thought I was in shock from the accident. But it wasn't that. My mind was still in that other place. I had seen the truth. And now I was back in a world that had no idea what was happening. I tried to convince myself that it was a dream, a hallucination caused by my near-death experience. But I knew the truth. It was real. And the longer I stayed silent, the heavier the revelation became. Then I heard the voice again. "Speak." I turned my head. There was no one there, but deep in my soul, I knew what that meant. I needed to tell the world. And when I tried to speak for the first time, I was met with skepticism. I gathered my friends and family to tell them what had happened. I spoke about the tunnel, about meeting Jesus, about the revelation of Black people and their hidden spiritual power. But all I saw in their eyes was doubt. "You had an accident, Laura. Maybe it was just your mind trying to process the trauma," my sister gently suggested. My heart sank. It wasn't a dream. It was real. But no one believed me. I tried speaking with other people, religious leaders, online groups, acquaintances, and always the same reaction. Some said it was a hallucination. Others told me to forget it. Some became irritated. And then, strange things began to happen. Anonymous messages, files that disappeared, shadows that I saw out of the corner of my eye. There was something that didn't want this truth to be told. But I cannot stop now. The truth is coming to light, and nothing can stop it anymore. If you are reading this, it means that despite everything, I kept speaking. And now, I need you. Share this message. The world needs to wake up. The truth is being revealed, and it is time for everyone to remember who they truly are.